Aye, so kind of mainly going to focus on the album because that's
Cool.
the big thing.
Aye.
It feels like a landmark, you know, it's one of those things that you build up to.
Yeah, totally.
A bit bizarre now that it's out and it's kind of...
Aye, especially considering that we've had, like, it was 2 sessions that were recorded in, one was last year, one was the year before, so some of the recordings we've been sitting at have been, like, quite long in the making, long in the wait for the release, so aye, it's quite weird, and it's weirder still to tour and then to see people singing the words to those songs. That's never not, like, very humbling and nice.
So how long was the actual... Like from the time that you wrote the first song, you know, like the actual time span of writing the whole album?
See, it wasn't written as like a single concept piece kind of thing. It was in fits and starts. But I mean, the oldest song in there is probably Be Mine, which started as like an acoustic song with me years ago, and then there was songs written like the day before we went in to record that were like Absurd was like that. Absurd was like I came up with this riff and then fleshed it out and then brought it in and we're like, oh, that needs to make the album. So yeah, it's your first album's your entire life in the making, innit? So that's it's kind of true of this one.
Yeah. At the same time as that, it's a bit different to a lot of the stuff you kind of released before. It's less punky, it's a bit rock, a bit dancing. You do have, you know, some quieter songs on there like and things like that.
Yeah.
What kind of prompted that change, and how did you pick what went on them?
So we wrote lots and lots of songs. Some of it was very loud and punky, and some of we did like a garble sound session. There's some of those punkier tunes on there. We just went for what we thought the best songs and the best flow was, and I think the album flows quite nicely. It's kind of got a side 1 closer and a side 2 opener and Be Mine and Do What You Want. And yeah, it was just the stuff that we liked the most, I think. We had like a World Cup of songs. There was like 4 group stages of 4 each that then we picked our best, and everyone had like vetoes and hills that they would die on, and like, so it was a kind of slightly democratic process, but it was just the songs that we liked the most.
Was there anything that came quite close to being on it?
Yeah, quite a few. There's one that's probably going to be released as a single, and it didn't make the album not because it wasn't one of our favourites, but because it was quite sonically different. Like, it was really poppy. It was like really like, it sounds like The Cars. It was a really, really pop tune, and like we'll probably release that after. There was a couple of ones like that, like the song Patriot and Just to Be Yours that are on the Garble Sound we really like, and there's a lot of songs that aren't finished with yet, and the stuff we'd released, Shiny Toys and Useless, were very close, but we just thought it's better giving people more new songs. They're already there, you can go and listen to Shiny Toys and Useless if you want, but like it's better to give people as much tunes as possible.
Yeah. I mean, you opened the album as well. I didn't actually realise until I was listening to it how powerful No Fun is. Like just the guitar, it's absolutely.
It's huge,
I loved it before, but
yeah,
it's cracking. Was that based off a single encounter, or was that something you kind of been brooding over for a while when you wrote that song?
So the riff to that song was, I've got like a file on my computer, a folder on my computer that's called Ideas Worth Revisiting, and I'll record stuff on a phone and put it in there if I'm not immediately going to do anything with it. And I was one night up until like 4 or 5 in the morning just going through all these things, and I just heard the and I was like, oh, something in that. And then I don't know why, like you get like a mad feel for what the song should be about, and that just sounded like quite an angry, confrontational, but like not shouty, more like condescending attitude, you know, like the kind of I never want, sort of like you're a bit like tired of the person. And the actual, it's based on multiple encounters, it's not based on one single person. I think very few songs are based on one single person, apart from maybe like grand love songs. Like there's the album Closer, like the bonus track on it, that's like literally about my girlfriend, which is very soppy and embarrassing, but No Fun is about a collection of people. I think there's lots and lots of people that, if you recognise yourself in No Fun, God help you.
You mentioned like the bonus track there for the album. It's something that I kind of noticed a lot on the album, is that it's quite affectionate. And that's something that maybe wasn't, especially when you first did around song. Why do you think that's come about? Just as you've gotten older, or?
I think that, so like the stuff we'd released, yeah, you're right, there's a lot more heart to this than possibly was in like the previous ones. I think that it just, maybe it came at a time in my life where I was like a bit more content and sentimental and happy. I think a lot of things happened over the past couple of years that I've always been quite a sentimental person anyway. And I think even Useless, which is quite sad, it's very sentimental. It's very much like about feeling a lot of things. So like, yeah, I think that this album definitely is more positive, and hopefully kind of like life a hormone in some ways. I'm not sure why. I think that there's still angry songs that are there. They just perhaps didn't make this specific album.
I mean, you do still have the political edge to it that's coming through. Another one of the ones I wanted to ask about was Turn Me On, because I think that's That's probably my favourite track on the album.
That's Ben's. It's up there for me. It's definitely Ben's favourite one. I love that song as well.
How old is that song, and again, how did it kind of come to be?
Very new. That's one of the newer songs that was like written just before we recorded the album, and I was just trying to learn a lot of like. I try and learn different people's songs just in order to like understand how they write. So I was listening to a lot of Aztec Camera, and Roddy Frame uses all these weird like G6 and A diminished 7, and so I just learned a couple of new chord shapes and was like, right, and it sort of, those 4 chords came, and then the chorus that just sort of was like a high sort of falsetto chorus. I think it was around about the same time as How Does, like, and it's kind of in the same vein as that. And then Ben phoned me after I sent him it, and like a sort of Back to the Future moment. It's like, you know that bass line you've been looking for? Well, listen to this, and then like played me the dun 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 dun, and yeah, so that's how that song came together. But yeah, I like that as well a lot.
That one kind of ties into a little bit as well. What we spoke about there, it's a bit more of an affectionate album. In that sense, what is the most personal song on the record for you?
Different Strokes, actually. I think that Different Strokes is the one that when I play live, Different Strokes and As I Am are the two when I play live, I feel genuinely emotional. Like the last line of Different Strokes and sort of, and after they showered and fed me, then they sent me on our way. Often I wonder if under the sun they're whether they are marching today. That last bit, the often I wonder bit, I can sometimes feel a bit of a lump in my throat about it, because like I've no idea how Naileen is doing. I'd love to go back. I'd love to know how I kind of keep up with Saeed a bit, but like I'd love to know, like the guy Suleiman at the start of the song, he was our taxi driver, didn't speak a word of English, but we bonded just over him having to pick us up and drop us off, and he would be like, this place, no, coffee, no. The first thing he said actually, he said, British, you put milk in your tea, and shook his head, and I was like, that was like the most sick burn ever, like to people in the Middle East. Us drinking tea with milk is ridiculous, but yeah, that's genuinely the most like word for word, personal, literal song on the album. I Do What You Want as well is very personal. So yeah, I think that Different Strokes though, and As I Am are the two that when I play live it kind of chokes me up a bit.
Yeah. The thing about those two songs, the whole album again, is each song seems to have a distinct meaning, a distinct thing that it's about. At what point are you able to kind of step back and say, okay, I know what the song's about now? Do you know it in the process, or is it something that comes after?
Yeah, I think that, so it starts with a feeling. So like I'll play chords, it's always 99% of the time it's music first. So I'll play chords, I'll play like a melody, and I'll get a feeling for like this song is either going to be confrontational or defiant or saccharine or sentimental or a bit like or sad. And then from there, it will be like what do I feel that way about? So like with Different Strokes, it took a long time for lyrics to come together in that, but that song is like defiant almost, like the chorus in particular. And I thought like the most defiant people I know are Palestinians, and I've not had a chance to really put my experience into words yet. And so that was a good attempt at that. We're in the studio and we had everything apart from lyrics down, and I was like, I just can't get anything to work here. And then I finally hit on that, and I wrote it all in like one. And I think it's the best political song I've got because it's just a story. There's not really any like feel this way, don't feel this way, think that way. It's like a narrative. And I think that Palestine is one of those things where I think if you sent anyone over to the West Bank and you were like showing the reality of it, I think you would have to be incredibly of one opinion already to not come out thinking this is a very unjust thing. So yeah, I think that like you sometimes have an idea. Other times a chorus, like so like for How Does, a chorus came to me and I was like, this is fucking stupid. I was like, this is good. Like it really like it bops, but like this is so silly. How does your love feel so good? That's nonsense. And I was like, nothing else worked as well. So I was like, right, I need to write around that stupid chorus and make it ground it in reality a bit. So that's how it became kind of about provincial nightclubs and that, because it was like, I need to justify that fucking batshit stupid chorus with something a bit more realistic.
Oh, you spoke about Different Strokes there. Was that the only song you wrote about that experience, or did you have a few that you kind of...
That's the only one I've done so far. There's a couple of things kicking about that like I've like half songs and like ideas, but that's the only song that's been written about Palestine. There's like the poem White Man Palestine, which I wrote about it, and there's a couple of poems in that book that I've got that are kind of about Palestine, but that's the only song I've done so far.
Is that ever something you'd be keen to do again, like poetry as opposed to just...
Yeah, I think it's just we've got so many songs now that it's hard to fit it in the set. Like, we're having to cut a lot of songs to have an hour set now. We're having to cut like 7-8 songs, like to make an hour. So like, God help us for album 2. I don't know what the hell's going to be. I don't know how we're going to cut anything.
Speaking of live sets, I did want to ask about Glastonbury and what that was like. So obviously,
that was amazing.
Yeah,
it was really humbling. Like, it was like my hero was introducing us on stage. Like, Billy Bragg is like my fucking the guy, and he introduced us on stage and he was cutting about, and it's his stage that he curates. And we're playing with bands like Life and Dream Life and Billy Bragg himself, Fontaine's DC were amazing. Like, so it was really, really cool to be part of that. And we just had an amazing time. We took like a bunch of our pals down, girlfriends, and like just like had such a nice time. Yeah, it was class.
Do you know how you came across your music?
I'm imagining our booking agent, but there is an email that I found that I sent to him when I was about 17, which was like, "Shot in the dark, Billy, but I'm a political songwriter, and if you've ever got any time listening to this, then I need to send that to his office because I think they'll find that funny." But yeah, I was looking through my emails and I was like, "Oh, fucking hell."
Do you know what song it was you sent him?
A song I wrote when I was younger called "The Day That Thatcher Died," which was about being a bit more reflective about, yes, like, I don't think you should pay people who have caused that much damage any respect, but like the celebrations may have been slightly too preemptive because the fight against what she represented was not over. But yeah, it was that song I sent. I thought that'd be up a street. Never opened the email though.
In terms of looking to the more political side of the album and the tunes that you're using on it to kind of address these topics and bring attention to them, how effective do you feel music is as a tool for change in 2019?
I think that the fact that the fact that hip hop is the dominant like cultural force in like Britain and America, and the fact that young people, that's kind of almost exclusively a lot of the time the music a lot of young people listen to, and the fact that hip hop and particularly grime is so political, I think shows you that you can have like some I think the attitudes that grime can shape about being proud from being a working class area. I think you can see that in real time. I think there's probably some link to the rise of sort of Labour left activism in England and the influence of grime being about being proud of who you are, not being ashamed to be from a council estate or be black or be like poor, and being like, this is what made me and I'm going to be proud of that. In terms of like what we do, it's really nice because you go, I mean, we've had a couple like really fucking nice experiences on tour where people have been like, "Oh, that song meant like so much to me," and like it made me be more alright about who I am, or be more galvanised to go and like try and fight for Palestine or LGBT rights or like socialism or all these things. So I think that the sort of "this machine kills fascist" things about the guitar, it's not strictly true because, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably quoting Billy Bragg here, but like it's the people in the crowd that go and change things. You're the match that lights the fire. So like that's the point of the political stuff, I think. And also like Different Strokes, because it's so indie, like it's the most like indie fucking tune we have. I think you can get an under the radar because people just like the tune. And then it makes people go, "I wonder what that's about." And then when they see us live, say it's about Palestine, they're like, "I really like that tune, I might look into it a bit more." So you can get to people through that method as well.
Aye.
Aye.
And obviously we've got the general election coming up at the 12th December, is it? General election. So say Declan Welsh and the Decadent West Party got into office, what's the first thing you would implement when you became Prime Minister?
Right, okay, so you can't own more than 2 properties. Ban that immediately. Every property that's owned by take houses off landlords and giving it to people who don't have houses. Rent controls, guarantee free movement, and raise the minimum wage to £15 an hour. I'm quoting Labour's manifesto. Almost everything I would do is in Labour's manifesto. I think it's fucking amazing. I really do. I think it's great. And I think that, especially because they've been dragged kicking and screaming by the young left activists in the party to guarantee like a Green New Deal and guarantee free movement. Those things are great because Labour have tried to play the bashing immigrants game and it's not worked for them, and it's just thrown immigrants under the bus. So it's good to have a party that stands for something, but it's just a shame that the Brexit Party and the Tories are going to try their best to work together in their own interests, and that the Lib Dems seem more interested in getting to be the third biggest party again than to actually stop the Tories getting in. But yeah, I honestly think that you couldn't have written a better manifesto, and every young person in Labour deserves to be commended for dragging that party, kicking and screaming into the left.
Yeah, and on that note,
Nice
thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.